All right, let's jump right in. If you feel like everyone and their dog is talking about generative AI literacy, but nobody can actually agree on what it means, well, you are definitely not alone. It feels like we're drowning in frameworks trying to define this thing. So, in this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that noise. We're looking at a new research paper that took on the chaos and, believe it or not, found some real clarity.
And we need that clarity because the stakes, they could not be higher. I love this quote from researcher Alec Kuros. He basically says that in a world that's just saturated with AI-generated content, this isn't some dusty academic skill. No, this is a survival skill. Being able to spot the real from the fake, that all starts with understanding the tools that are doing the fabricating. But here's the kicker. Most of us don't really get how these tools work. Not really. Based on this analysis by Mishra, there's a huge fundamental misunderstanding out there. I mean, look at this chart. A whopping 45% of people think a chatbot is just pulling an exact answer from a database, like a librarian, when in reality the correct answer, that it's predicting the next word, only got 28% of the vote. That's a massive gap in understanding. And when you have that kind of gap, you get some pretty dangerous myths popping up. Schoen and his colleagues identified a bunch of them. People start to think AI is perfectly neutral, that it thinks just like we do, that it's always objective, and that kind of misplaced trust is exactly why we have to get a handle on what AI literacy really is.
And listen, this isn't just a nice to have or some theoretical debate anymore. This has serious, real-world consequences. The European Union's AI Act now makes it the law. It legally requires organizations to make sure their people are AI literate. So yeah, the pressure is on to figure out what that actually looks like. So, how do we get there? Well, that is where our source article for today comes in. The authors did the hard work of sifting through this absolute flood of new AI literacy frameworks coming from everywhere, governments, academics, nonprofits, to try and find a common thread.
To really appreciate what they found, you first have to see what they were looking at. The paper dove into 12 different frameworks from all over the world. So we're going to do a quick-fire tour of them right now. Don't worry about memorizing every single detail. The point is to get a feel for the sheer variety before we get to the big pattern they all share. Ready? Let's go.
First up, from the world of academia, we have the 3WAI framework. It's so beautifully simple. It breaks literacy down into 3 basic questions: knowing what AI is, knowing how to use it, and maybe most important of all, knowing why you're even using it in the first place.
Now, on the flip side of that simplicity, you have the comprehensive guidelines framework. This one is way more detailed. We're talking 12 specific guidelines, all neatly organized into 4 key areas of understanding and, this is key, responsible use.
Then there's the EdAI Lit framework. This one takes a broader, more holistic view, proposing 6 components that are all connected. It's really making the point that literacy isn't just about the tech stuff. It's also about critical skills like evaluation, and of course, ethics.
Okay, here's another academic model with 12 skills. But what's really cool about this one is how it organizes them. It sets them up as a learning progression, basically creating a roadmap from "I have no idea what this is" to advanced practical application.
Now, this next one introduces a really subtle but honestly a crucial distinction. It splits literacy, which is like the foundational book smarts, from competency, which is the practical, hands-on ability to actually apply that knowledge and get things done.
And our final stop in the academic world is a framework designed specifically for universities. It covers 5 areas, and interestingly, it's one of the only ones to explicitly call out the emotional dimension of working with AI, acknowledging the anxieties and the excitement it creates.
Okay, let's zoom out from academia and look at the big international organizations. UNESCO offers this global framework for students that's set up like a matrix. It measures 4 different aspects of AI literacy across 3 distinct levels of mastery.
Of course, governments are trying to define this too. Over in the US, the Department of Labor created a framework, and as you'd probably guess, it's laser-focused on workforce development. It lays out 5 key content areas that employees need to know.
The OECD, another huge international player, defines literacy through 4 very active domains. It's not about passive knowledge. It's all about how we actively engage with, create with, manage, and even design the AI systems all around us. A European research group called AIDL really zooms in on what might be the most critical piece of the puzzle: data. Its whole framework is built around understanding and using data responsibly because, well, without data, you don't have AI.
The nonprofit world is weighing in as well. The Digital Promise Framework is really interesting. It's built around 3 ways of engaging with AI, but it anchors everything in 2 core values: human judgment and justice. It puts ethics right at the very center.
And finally, our 12th framework comes from a council that's backed by the private sector. It offers 5 dimensions, but its key insight is hammering home that AI literacy isn't some generic skill. To be meaningful, it has to be applied within a specific field, like medicine or law or engineering.
Okay, take a breath. That was a lot, I know. 12 different frameworks, all with their own lingo and priorities. It just looks like chaos, right? But here's the most important finding from the paper. Underneath all that noise, there is a clear, undeniable pattern. The researchers found a surprising amount of agreement.
So this is it. This is the big reveal. Despite all the different words and structures, the analysis found that pretty much every single framework is built on these 3 core pillars. Number 1, conceptual knowledge. You got to understand what AI is and how it works. Number 2, operational skills. You need the practical ability to actually use the tools. And number 3, critical and ethical judgment. You need the wisdom to evaluate what the AI spits out and think about its impact on the world.
But, and this is a big but, while they all agree on the what, they kind of diverge on the how. And this slide illustrates the core tension perfectly. Is AI literacy just an individual skill set? A checklist of things you can master and get a grade on? Or is it something more complex, a socio-technical practice that's all tangled up with power and context and ethics, where there aren't always easy answers?
And that question brings us to the most important part of all of this. Understanding the patterns is great, but what does this actually mean for us? For students, for teachers, for anyone just trying to make their way in this new world?
Well, the paper gives us some pretty clear takeaways. For one, you can't just teach AI literacy in one single isolated course. It has to be practiced inside specific subjects. And crucially, you have to pair playing with the tools with thinking critically about them. It's not just about getting better at writing prompts, it's about starting debates and asking the hard questions about ethical use, not just handing down a list of rules.
And that leaves us right here with this final, really powerful question. The analysis basically says, okay, we have enough blueprints. We have a solid consensus on what the core pillars of AI literacy are. The challenge isn't about defining it anymore. The challenge is about doing it. So the question for all of us is, now that we have the plans, how do we actually start building?